Are you sick and tired of lame-ass social media? Are you tired of turning on the TV and being bored to tears? Well, never fear. Roundtable Philosophy is here to save the day, bringing you new and interesting podcasts each and every week. Let's get the party started. So this week, we're going to talk about girls that are not good for you and the various titles that they're given. Some people might think that it's kind of crass and inappropriate, but it is what it is. Our partner Vic isn't here tonight to give us the true rundown of Ratchet TV and all things associated with it, but I guess I'll let you guys take
the keyword of the night being thought. Yes,
thought would be one of the words. So for those of you who don't know, thought stands for that hoe over there.
It also has a different meaning, something like thirsty over there or something.
I'm pretty sure that we can all assume currently in today's standards, it means for a hoe that's over there.
Either that hoe over there or thirsty old trick.
Just to clarify, do you mean that there's a thirsty hoe over there?
Apparently, Urban Dictionary says a thought is a hoe, plural, thoughties. Marquand, yo, that's my main girl. Deshaun, she yo main girl, but she my main thought. So basically we have thought, skank, a trashy young lady who lacks class, poor hygiene, flakiness, and scrawny, pockmarked sort of ugliness.
It's also referencing hoe, slut, and ratchet. Ratchet has opposing definitions just like bad.
Ratchet, a diva mostly from urban cities and ghettos that has reason to believe she is every man's eye candy. Unfortunately, she's wrong. So that sounds less bad than being a skank or being a hoe or a thought.
There's the other definition for it, whereas a person who uses the word doesn't actually know how to pronounce the word correctly. And yes, that does exist.
And then we have slut.
First, one of the other definitions for slut, which was a female with the morals of a man.
I mean, no offense, but wouldn't that actually be a dyke?
The top definition for slut on UD is a woman with the morals of a man.
I'm going to go ahead and say that's probably not close, actually, but whatever.
So then we also have whore, a woman that sleeps with everyone but you.
Joseph, I need to make a small inquiry real quick. Jason, if that is true, if slut is a definition, then wouldn't the word man whore be redundant?
All these words are redundant and screwed up. So the problem with slang, man.
I'm just saying, that's all.
Yeah.
And then,
anywho.
And then we have whore.
There's also another version of slut, which is someone who provides a very needed service for the community and sleeps with everyone, including people who have no shot at getting laid.
There are words to describe women who are promiscuous.
I can say I've probably encountered bottom-of-the-barrel girls while I was in college. They were just so desperate for attention, they were willing to do anything, even so much so that there was one girl that I didn't even know her. It was just one of those situations where all it really took was a handful of conversations for her to drive from another city to my apartment in the middle of the night.
Is it a bad thing?
Here's the thing. If you haven't even met somebody and all you have is a 30-minute conversation...
In male culture, right, masculine culture, someone who has a 30-minute conversation with somebody and then goes home with them is a triumph, not a bad thing. So I'm still detecting a double standard here. Why is it a bad thing when a girl likes to have sex, but it's not a bad thing when a guy likes to have sex?
I think it's a bad thing if she grows dependent or if he grows dependent on having sex with multiple people. Obviously, you're going to have multiple partners, but if you're not careful about it, I think that's where the danger comes into play. I think if they have a lot of sex with a few people, that's different than one person having sex with like 50 people, because I do know somebody who's had sex with at least 50 people. Eventually, she ended up having a kid.
So what if it's a guy that slept with 50 people?
He's just as bad. That's not a healthy thing to do. I mean, 50 people, it's just really dangerous behavior because, for one, if you're not using protection, you could be catching something. Two, if you do catch something, you're now spreading it to lots of other people. And three, if you are not using protection, and let's say you're a guy and you're having sex with 50 different girls, that's 50 different opportunities that you could possibly be having a kid. And then now you're going to have to pay child support, and your whole life is going to be wrecked because you are not prepared in any way to bring a life into the world. Like, if you're irresponsible, then a kid's going to be born, and then you're going to have to take care of it, but you won't be able to because you have 49 other kids you're going to have to take care of.
Who says they're being irresponsible?
If you're having unprotected sex with multiple people, I think that's irresponsible.
Okay, but nothing in any of these definitions say anything about unprotected. Simply the act of sex on every single one of those.
I get what you're saying, man. I mean, I know you love to play with words, so I'll play your little game, Yes, they're just having sex.
I'm just trying to be precise about what we're talking about here. Right? So it's not a lot of sex. It's potentially irresponsible behavior, right? It has to do with sex.
I guess you could say that. Same thing could go for drinking. Same thing could go for drugs. Same thing could go for gambling. I mean, if you mistreat anything, it can lead to a downward spiral and a series of bad events, including Lemony Snicket's.
Nom, 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 nom.
I guess nobody found that funny.
I'm going to clarify something real quick, Joey. I thought this was supposed to be more about, like, current views on people who have become that way versus the words itself or all the other stuff.
Let's say when you were in high school, right? You're a freshman versus you're a postgraduate and you've been in the working world for a little bit. How would you say that girls have changed from your interaction and the stories that you hear and what you see in the news and on TV in the last, I guess, 10 years or so?
Oh, hell, in that case, it's pretty easy. I'm looking to be disappointed practically every time.
So I don't know how much you're actually actively trying to date, but the times that you do, how difficult do you find it then versus now? I mean, I don't know if you had a girlfriend in high school, but let's say that you did. You know, how difficult was it to get a girlfriend in high school, and what was the quality versus whenever you're trying to date now?
The problem with just women right now in general, hell, probably even back then too, now that I look at it in this way, there's too many damn shadow games going on. There's not any actual true honesty, and then those who are actually considered honest are considered complete bastards or are totally unfeeling and uncompassionate because they're just brutally honest about the subject. They're not trying to shadow it. They're not trying to cover in sugar and say that it's a sprinkle machine mountain or something. They're just trying to tell the truth, and yet they're getting misjudged for it because they're not willing to play the mind games.
I'm just going to go out on a limb and say Sprinkle Machine Mountain should be the title of this episode.
Yes. Being honest, I mean, hell, like, they want to cover everything practically in sugar and call it a donut when really it's just a giant heap of shit. Pardon my French when I say it, but it's just the bottom line truth.
I didn't hear any French in there, sir.
Chité. There you go.
I would hope that the people you're actively attracted to over time changes. You should not be dating the same or attempting to date the same pool of people as you age.
Oh, well, obviously, in the first place, hell, if that was the case, then I'd probably be called a pedophile currently in today's generation standards. It's no big deal as far as openness because, hell, I've seen many women, different creeds, colors of skin tones and such, different racial backgrounds, and I found many incredibly attractive. It's called experience just from going through college, growing into the actual world, and actually having your own opinions, not ones that are shoved down your throat by your parents or by a church or something. The problem, though, is that giving actual honesty to the opposite sex, you're looking to be disappointed pretty much. That was my main statement regarding it. Currently, there's just not any real honesty, so to speak. I mean, hell, look at the shows that most women watch these days anyway. The Real Housewives of New Jersey or of Atlanta or some shit. That's going to be their role models, their standards.
Yeah, Kim Kardashian, like this morning on the way to work, apparently Kim Kardashian's sisters are going to have a game just like Kim Kardashian did. She made billions of dollars, I think, off of that game. And basically the premise of it is you are Kim Kardashian's best friend and she's yours, and you guys shop together and dictate who you're going to date and what kind of relationship you're going to have with people. How is it that something like that is so popular? How is it that she's so popular other than her obvious sex tape? Her dad was well known long before she started doing that kind of stuff, right? Like, isn't he a lawyer or something like that?
Before he died.
There's a lot of reasons that would be popular. Not all of them because they're holding her as an idol.
But what does she do that's so great?
As a TV show.
Yeah, and she cries and whines and moans and complains about everything, and somehow people find that to be valuable.
It might make them feel better about themselves. Might be interesting. Might just be a schadenfreude kind of thing. Be looking at how rich people live compared to themselves.
Although I think her main selling point is probably when she uses Kanye's dick as a microphone.
Well, first it was Ray J, now it's Kanye.
Well, currently her selling points, I'm just saying. She definitely has musical background history, if you know what I'm saying. Wink, wink. Yeah.
She's an expert in skin fluting.
But then everyone just saying how bad it is actually just drives more people to consume her media of various types. So as people check it out, which then raises the viewer numbers, which then increases the possibility, like how much they can charge for advertisements, which then makes that much more they can go into marketing, which means that much more people watching.
Here's the thing that really bothers me. Why are there very few, if any, positive role models for guys or girls? You have so many crappy TV shows and reality shows with these people that just do the stupidest things, and it's just such bad quality. They don't have anything really positive to look up to. I mean, Saturday morning, what do you have on the TV now? Crap. What do you have whenever you come home from school? crap. You're just being filled with crap. And now that you have smartphones and other devices that allow you to be on the internet at all times, you're just constantly exposed to it. So how are we providing positive influences for the youth so that when they're older, they're not man whores, they're not hoes and ratchets and skanks and sluts? I feel like if there was more of a positive role model type system or hierarchy, whatever you want to call it, by having somebody positive and constructive to kind of mold yourself after, you in turn can turn around and offer that to somebody else. I feel like that's really lacking these days. Would you agree or disagree?
Well, I would say first off, on one point, that it is incredibly lacking, but I think another problem we have this day is also what is considered actually to be good actual role models. Because I'll be honest, dude, a lot of people don't actually even know what an actual good role model even is, or what makes the criteria of one becoming one.
I was going to say, looking to fiction for role models is probably a bad idea to begin with. Looking at entertainment for role models is probably just a bad idea, whether it's fiction or nonfiction.
Well, I mean, you have to look at some people that are good role models that in their spare time when they're not performing, let's take a musician, for example, like U2. Don't they go and do all kinds of stuff for different poverty-stricken countries and things like that?
Yeah, but they're still human. I mean, they do good things, they do bad things. Things that you would want to replicate and things you wouldn't want to replicate.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't see U2 with their sex tape.
No, but
you see like Bono making all sorts of really ignorant statements about certain things.
I guess that's
true. This is true also.
They're still just human.
I mean,
so if you're looking at reality TV as a role model, then you need to first define what you're trying to accomplish. Are you just trying to be famous like the people in reality TV? Or is that what you're going for? Or are you trying to emulate those people? Or it sounded like emulate. Yes, let's set them on fire. Every one of them on fire. I mean, are you trying to emulate them, or what is it? I mean, like, society doesn't exactly have role models. So an individual has to pick the role model.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Like, as far as male role models or whatnot, though, I don't think about it. Actually, in sports, there might be one that comes to mind as far as I can think of. Well, maybe two actually. One of those might be Peyton Manning because of his work ethic that everyone respects inside the sport and outside of it, because he's just a man who works very hard at what he does, and he doesn't try to get extra praise for doing it, though. He just comes in, does his job, and helps people who work beside him become better at what they do.
Yeah, he's not deflating footballs.
Well, I mean, it's not that. It's just the fact that he just is a good overall role model because he doesn't get in trouble with the law. He doesn't do stupid things like get a DUI or smoke so much pot before a game he fails a drug test or something. It's just that kind of thing. And then you have other people like, say, for example, like Tiger Woods, who at one time was seen as a very positive role model. But now, after everything that happened, he's the antithesis of a good role model due to his personal life choices that has made so much scandalous headlines, especially as far as personal life failing as a whole. Not to mention his career suffering from that as a result.
Let's take a minute to say hi to Amanda.
Hello.
Hi, Amanda.
Amanda's our friend from Auburn. So you haven't ever met Jason before, but he's one of my Auburn friends. And then we have Ryan.
Hello, Ryan.
Do you remember who I am?
I do remember who you are.
Do you know what a seesaw is?
I do know what a seesaw. I still have a scar on my head from that.
I'm sorry, girl. I haven't seen or heard from you probably in, 3.5 years? 4 years, maybe?
It's been a long time. I still have a bald spot, though, for real.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, leave it up to Ryan to abuse the ladies. And then we have Brendan. He's one of my friends from back in the day.
Kind of a big fucking deal.
Well, hello.
It's been a very quiet, big fucking deal this whole show.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's probably because he's typing a whole bunch. I told him to mind his mute, so he probably had something to say and he forgot. At least he knows how to use it, unlike Vic.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So,
but...
Amanda, how come you don't have a picture? I can't see what you look like.
I just made a Skype account like 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, I was like,
oh,
hey.
girl, you better add a picture, girl. I'm trying to creep.
She's married, so you can't creep too hard.
Damn it. We can be internet lovers.
That doesn't count.
I don't think my husband would like that.
Yeah, he's in the Navy. He might drown you.
Brandon, seriously, you better watch out. He might just bomb you one day.
I invited Amanda because we never have a female perspective, and so since we're talking about avoiding bad girls, I would say Amanda is the opposite of that. I'd say she's a pretty good girl. So I guess, Amanda, what are the pro tips to being a good girl? Because they seem to be kind of hard to find these days.
You have to find out what's important to the other person and try to either make it important to you or be supportive of what's important to them anyway, even if you don't care about it, So
why are some girls considered ratchet, skank, hoe, slut? So I guess, I don't know, I feel like girls talk differently to each other. Girls can be together and be like, oh, nice shoes, but what you're really saying is that she's a bitch and you hate her outfit, but you would never say that.
I don't know. That just seems so mean. I don't think I've ever called anyone ratchet.
There's always time.
I think you're dipping into the passive-aggressive stereotype.
I'm more quiet. Like, I would never be overtly mean to someone, and I don't really, once I leave the situation, I don't really think about it. But I don't know.
That's just funny because I don't understand this whole ratchet freaking world we live in, because I've never called a woman ratchet, or if, I've asked for a freaking ratchet when I was working on my motorcycle, but I've never freaking actually called a person ratchet. Like, I don't understand.
It's a fairly new term. It's basically just a screwed up version of wretched.
Hey Amanda, you have really cute puppies, by the way.
Did you say she has cute
puppies?
You had to define wrong, actually.
She's got cute
Are you
puppies.
stalking my
love
Facebook?
boxers.
Probably so.
I totally did. I was look. I was CIA of the Army when I was in, so I'm pretty good at that shit.
So 2 weeks ago, we talk about how women are saying you can't approach them because you're sexually harassing them. And then I was listening to the radio last week, and the same girl that was talking about this was saying that if I offer you my jacket, or if I hold open the door for you, that I am subtly saying that you are the weaker sex, and that that's sexism. Do you feel that if your husband holds the door open for you, or if he gives you a jacket because you're cold, that he's being sexist and that you're the weaker sex?
I would not be offended by that, just because I know that my husband isn't doing it from a place of thinking that I'm a weaker sex. He's doing it to be a gentleman. And I appreciate stuff like that.
From your perspective, what would be the difference? So, like, let's say if he was, hypothetically, like, how would you be able to dictate the difference between the two?
I think it's probably just the way that he talks to me. It's always very respectful, and it's never like he's talking down to me or he's talking to someone that's less of a human being, I guess. I don't know.
That was the differentiation when they were talking about the video as well.
I think, Joey, you're missing also a key point in all of this as well.
What's that?
Cultural diversity. Amanda here has been raised practically in the South her entire life. Isn't that correct, Amanda?
That is correct.
See, what one expects from a Southern man and a Southern woman would be totally different from what one would expect from, say, someone from Oregon or Massachusetts or California, even, hell, possibly Missouri or Kansas or Michigan, for all I know. Not really a fair context to only use one perspective like that when Amanda wasn't living in a culture where that was actually acceptable for society, as well as actually having a foundation from a traditional standpoint.
If you're going to go with that, why is it that that's predominant in the South and it doesn't exist as much outside of the South?
Because we're very fucking stubborn when it comes to giving up things from the past. Apparently, have you seen Racism yet?
No, I haven't seen Racism, but I should probably check my mailbox for KKK pamphlets that are weighted down with bags of rocks.
I'm just saying, man. I mean, but really, though, for Amanda, I don't think it would be as offensive, though, because she was actually raised in a society or in a culture where that was more of the norm as opposed to being the lesser, so
True.
to speak.
I mean, if you
I think that if Amanda was raised possibly instead like Indiana or maybe New York, Pennsylvania, California, possibly even Oklahoma for all I know, it might not be the same. She might be possibly affronted by it, maybe insulted.
Yeah, and then you also have to factor in people from other countries because they don't necessarily have the same views for women in the sense of respect and, I guess, the appreciation.
That goes into what I was saying earlier about cultural diversity. It's just not American. It's worldwide.
But, I mean, we mainly interact with people here. We aren't fortunate enough to travel and go to different places every day. But I see your point, and it is valid. I think that you do have to take that into consideration, but that still doesn't explain why. I feel kind of bad just pointing out just women, but I don't see guys doing the same thing that girls do. Like, whenever you go to spring break, or let's say you go down to Mardi Gras to Bourbon Street, you don't see guys, like, dropping their pants for beads, but you see girls flashing whoever for beads. I mean, there was... Jason, you remember Jennifer. You could say, hey, Jennifer, show me your boobs, and she'd flash you. Not even think twice about it.
She was perfectly comfortable with that.
And the complete strangers as well. Like, there was a guy that she hadn't even met that we brought over to hang out one time, and he was like, hey,
I do that to complete strangers that ask for it.
You show people your boobs?
They ask for it, man.
But the thing is,
sure did.
It's just my chesticles, man.
As a girl, I don't know why you would do something like that, because I think...
Why would you not?
Well, here's the thing. It kind of goes back to what I said last week. How can you expect people to respect you if you can't even respect yourself? if you have no modesty and you can't leave something to the imagination, how can you expect other people to have that either?
Why is having something that you've defined as modesty not having self-respect? Wouldn't you have to have a lot more self-respect and confidence in your body to go off to show it off to random people?
Joey, I'll have you know that I am a nudist, and yet I'm a very modest person by saying so.
The difference is that you're seeking out attention by your body and not by what you have to offer as far as what you can say. If you just go off and show your breasts or whatever to people that you don't know, you're saying they won't like me for any other reason. They don't care about what I have to say. I'm trying to just make friends.
Not necessarily. It could just be an icebreaker.
Yeah, babe, to be fair.
Same reason you'd show a lot of cleavage to try and pick up guys for dating. Or guys will wear really tight pants or shirts if they're really ripped.
I don't know if I would agree with that. I mean, I see what you're saying, but a lot of shirts, the way that they're cut, I mean, something's going to show unless, you just have massive boobs in which they're just falling out anyway, and that's just desperation. Or I guess if you have absolutely nothing, and then, it's like, is that Justin Bieber or is that a girl,
Well, what I'm saying is you're making a choice, right? You have to buy the clothes, you have to try them on, you have to put them on. If it shows cleavage, it shows cleavage. You have to be okay with that. You either buy really tight pants that show off your package or you don't.
First off, I want to point something out real quick, though, because for us, cleavage might be interpreted as one thing, but from the woman, it could be a totally different thing. Amanda, sure. I'd like to hear your response as far as cleavage goes, what the actual female views regarding cleavage are.
Well, it depends on how much cleavage you're talking about, because, a little bit of cleavage you can see it in just about every shirt. But if we're talking like a very low-cut shirt, then there really isn't any point. I don't know. I feel like after a certain point, then you're diminishing the way that other people see you, I guess.
So pretty much every shirt usually shows some form of cleavage, but then there's also like Hooters type cleavage, pretty much.
Yeah, and I have lots of like V-neck T-shirts that I got from Target. I wear an undershirt underneath all of them so that you don't see cleavage, just because I don't want to distract people from what I have to say. There's people that's trying to go to the bar and get free drinks either, though, so that I might be a bad example.
Wait a minute, time out. You wear the V-neck T-shirts, which is really very attractive on females that have breasts, but you wear a T-shirt under the V-neck T-shirt?
Yeah, so that there isn't a lot of cleavage showing.
But that defeats the purpose of having a V-neck T-shirt.
Well, maybe.
Depending on who's looking for what.
Well, it's just not that. It's just, the V-necks are meant for that, to show more chest. Even guys wear them sometimes with them because they're more comfortable. But I'm just saying, that's kind of like wearing a damn bikini over your T-shirt. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like Superman wearing his damn underwear over his tights. Maybe girls want to see him flying around wearing yoga pants.
So to me, it's a conscious decision, and one's not necessarily better or worse than the other. It's just the way you're choosing to present yourself. I don't see why it's necessarily better to present yourself as having very nice, what you think is a nice body, or versus presenting yourself to have what you think is a nice mind.
I'm just dumbfounded, I guess. The purpose of having a V-neck T-shirt. You might as well just wear a T-shirt or wear a sweater under your V-neck.
Well, not necessarily, because I think a lot of times it's a preference thing. Like some people like lower cut shirts because they don't like things that choke them. I don't mind. I don't own any V-necks, but for me, like when I buy a shirt, if it doesn't fit right near the armpit kind of chest area, I won't buy it because I don't want to be uncomfortable. So I think that's why V-necks are popular in some cases. But for girls that want to, I guess, be modest, they would wear the camisole or whatever underneath it to kind of keep things from spilling out.
That or possibly by the fact that maybe she just likes the style anyway.
Well, my wife has a fairly big chest, and she didn't wear a shirt under it. She would definitely be like, oh, hey, look, I have this massive cleavage here, and then that's all you would see and focus on, which is what Amanda was saying.
But the thing is, you can wear, like I've seen females wear the V-neck T-shirt with a sports bra under it if they're at the gym or something. But I'm saying if you're going to wear a T-shirt under a V-neck, that really, like I said, to me, it don't look right. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to be a fashion police and shit. I ain't trying to write no tickets. I'm just saying, it's just.
He's just being a boobs enthusiast. That's all.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Because I don't know. It's just weird to me. It's just really strange.
Like you're wearing two shirts for no reason, basically.
For me, I wear an undershirt underneath any kind of polo or button-down shirt, just for the fact that I sweat like a pig, and I would not like to pit out my shirt. So.
And you have more hair than a bear does.
Yeah, that doesn't help. I'm wearing 3 shirts at that point. My chest hair, my undershirt, and then my top shirt.
Right. See, that makes sense. I understand that. But I'm saying, you get my point, though, right? All I'm saying is, I've just never personally seen that. I've seen a girl wear sports bras underneath it, because that way it doesn't show cleavage at all. You know what I'm saying? But that way they still got kind of like the 80s look where it kind of kicks off the side of their, their shoulder. or show some shoulder, or they just wear a V-neck T-shirt. Period.
I think it's like what Amanda said. If you would like for people to pay attention to you and value what you're saying, then the less that you have to distract them, the better. Because let's say there's a girl that has a really big bust.
One shirt that covers everything. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, you're obviously going to notice that no matter what shirt that she's
just
wearing.
anti-layers.
Anti-layers, yeah, just run around, let everything
It
fly.
defeats the purpose.
But
Not entirely. It doesn't. From what I'm trying to gather from what Amanda's. Hold up a sec now, damn it. What I'm trying to say is what Amanda was saying. She wants to be able to wear what she wants, but not be able to have it discount her opinions on certain things because of how it might project to other people.
would you agree with that, Amanda?
I would agree with that, but my question is, are you saying that you're forced to look at cleavage when you see it? That you don't have any power over this? Like, I'm confused as to why you say if somebody's wearing a V-neck shirt, then it's out there and you have to look at it.
It is the holy power of boobs.
I am going to say that there is an instinctual drive to look at it, but you do have to make a conscious decision to not.
Agreed.
You can make that decision.
I do my best to try and not blatantly stare, but it's very difficult, and sometimes
We're kind of programmed to stare at first.
I think it just depends on what the person's wearing, because also too, like, if they're not attractive but they have a busty chest, then I guess you don't want to look at their face, so then I guess the chest is the next place. Or maybe you just
I don't even look at their chest.
you look past them at the wall, so it looks like you're looking at them, but you're really not.
If they're unattractive, period, I'm not looking at their chest.
I'm just saying, it's what you do afterwards, I think. If you continue to stare, then it's kind of impolite most of the time.
I'll be honest. No bullshit. The thing is I notice eyes. That's the first thing that I see, like, is eyes. I don't know why it's weird as shit, but that's what I do. Now, if a girl's got flat chest and a nice butt, cool, I can work with that. If she's got big boobs and no ass, I can't work with that. If I got a bigger ass than chick, I'm not going to be checking her out, period. There's nothing I can do. If she don't have a booty at all, you know how you get a booty? By doing squats. I just can't do it. I've been doing, I don't know. It's just like some guys are like, oh, boobs, and they stare at the girl's boobs the whole time. I'm not that guy. Even if she's super hot and her boobs are hanging out, I'm still looking at her eyes because I'm turned on by eyes and a smile. If she's got real pretty straight teeth, very good hygiene, and her teeth are bright white, we good to go. You know what I'm saying? As long as she ain't got doo-doo brown eyes, we good to go.
So when everybody else is being polite by staring at her eyes when she's talking, you're actually being a creeper.
Pretty much.
The hair, the eyes, and the teeth, I definitely pay attention to those three things because it typically says that the person cares enough about their appearance that they brush their teeth, hopefully, they wash their hair, and but anyway, like I was saying, if they have nice eyes, teeth, hair, then, I'm going to notice the other stuff too, but I don't know, the cosmetic things, like, especially the clothes, I think I notice the clothes more than anything because it just sounds weird. Maybe it's all the girlfriends that I've had and their fashion stuff, and then, my wife is all about fashion and crap, but I notice people's shoes and their clothes probably long before I notice anything else about them, especially the shoes. I hate seeing people with just beat up, ugly ass shoes. Like, they're just falling off their feet, and like the rest of their clothing is nice, but they don't even bother to get nice shoes. Like, what's up with that?
Maybe they don't value shoes as highly as you do.
Maybe, but I don't know, man. Like, when I was a kid in school, if you didn't have nice kicks, you were going to catch it from your friends. They're like, oh, man, you're wearing, like, thrift store shoes. You need to step up your game,
When my dad was still in school, you wore sneakers, you were poor.
So you have to wear, like, penny loafers or something?
Yep. That changes drastically over time. And to me, I think it's really just a personal preference. I wouldn't say one is especially bad or good. It's just you need to be aware of what you judge on.
So
be aware of that, and not necessarily hold other people to your same standards.
Amanda, what's the first few things that you notice about somebody, male or female?
First thing that honestly I notice when I meet somebody is whether or not it looks like they care about the way they look. Whether or not, you meet somebody and they have really greasy hair and they look like they haven't bathed, you kind of think, well, maybe they don't care as much about their personality, but that's not something that I would judge somebody on necessarily. I would just put that in the back of my head,
Nate, what do you notice?
The lack of him being there.
Nate doesn't notice anything.
Apparently not.
Nate has extremely low standards.
Well, fuck! Look at Nate. He's like got a blank stare on his face. Look at him.
Well, he said he just got home, so he may be doing something, but he signed in so that he could listen.
Listening to you guys. I'm more or less listening to you eating at the same
Oh
time.
yeah, he values eating more than conversing with us. I see how it is.
That's right.
That's fair, man.
Just
That's fair.
talk about something that's
Must be
actually
popular with the ladies.
might help me something, all
You do need to get closer to the mic, Nate.
Sorry, there's nothing I can do. I'm having to talk on the laptop because I can't find the mic.
Oh.
What you have to do is you have to put your face in the laptop, right in the crease, and that's how you talk.
And then you slam it really hard.
Just motorboat your laptop. That's the solution.
It doesn't generally like that.
I like this, Nate. Talk dirty to me, baby. Tell me something. What flavor Fruit Loops do you like?
Cock flavored.
We were trying to be polite for Amanda's sake, and it's just not happening.
I don't think polite is our MO.
As far as what I look for when it comes to seeing someone the first time, I really don't even look that much even at material things like clothes and such. I mean, I'll look and see if it actually looks good on somebody. But really, I've taken just their entire appearance, really. I mean, haircut, eye color, whether or not they even bothering smile, if they even make eye contact or whatnot, though. Like, that's just pretty much my overall observation when I see someone.
Whenever I meet somebody, if I shake their hand and they have some, like, lame-ass, limp-wristed handshake, that immediately is a turn-off. There was a guy that we interviewed for a job, and he didn't even look at me.
Don't go to India.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't even look at me, nor did he really shake my hand very well. And I'm thinking, you know, you're in a business environment trying to get a job, and you can't even make eye contact.
Yeah, that's a very specific American thing. Prolonged eye contact and a firm handshake is an American culture thing.
Whereas in Japan, that's actually an insult.
What, to look them in the eye?
Yes, it's actually considered insulting in a way, per se. Especially with a strong grip, it can be considered insulting depending on their culture.
Eye contact in general is very finicky across cultures.
Especially eye contact.
Very aggressive.
And not to mention,
even in American culture, depending on how you do it, it's aggressive or not.
I mean, I'm not like going to burn a hole through
same
with
goes
my
physical
eyes.
touch, too, as well. I mean, a handshake might be different from here in the South as opposed to being up north or whatnot, depending on the intent or on how hard the shake is, much less how hard the grip is also.
Well, even in America, there's a lot of subculture with that. Like with my fighting friends, a handshake is much more Viking-like than it is American business standard.
That still messes with me to this day.
It's the full-on like forearm grip sometimes, and the bro hug.
I can deal with the bro hug, but the grabbing my forearm, that's still I haven't gotten used to that. It's really hard considering that the only person that does it is Joey.
So just make
most,
sure.
Most people, it's more the bro hug where you don't
So
you don't
just
grab
make
forearms,
sure
it's
the
like
handshake pretty much predates raping, pillaging villages.
We did that same handshake, but I mean, it's a Viking handshake, but it's also an ancient Scottish and Irish and Polack. I mean, it's just an ancient handshake, period. Even the Romans.
Mostly the warrior handshake.
Yeah, that's what it is, a warrior. I mean, because back then, if you do it with a full forearm, because shaking each other's hand was more of a kind of like something, it's kind of a disrespect almost. You know what I mean? You shake each other's arm. I mean, we did that my whole military career, and people would look at us like we're crazy, but that's our whole damn company did that. You know what I mean? I mean, we were the Spartans, so I mean, I guess
So Amanda, how do girls?
Now we pat the upper middle back, but originally you actually patted the waistline because you're checking for a dagger.
Oh yeah, of course, or their pee-pee to make sure that they're not hard and they're not gay.
That was biblical times.
Oh man,
That's in Genesis right there.
Amanda, how do girls typically, other than hugging, I guess, say hey to each other? You guys don't really shake hands, right?
No. If I see one of my friends, if I'm good friends with them, I usually hug people because, I don't know, it's a Southern thing. You just hug people when you see them. If not, then I usually just wave hello.
What do you think that ratchet girls do when they meet each other?
I'm not exactly sure what ratchet means.
Negative version of ratchet is essentially interchangeable with stink.
When you hear ratchet, just picture watching The Real Housewives of New Jersey or something.
Basically means unclean, obnoxious, diva in a bad way. It's an abomination of the word wretched.
That's what we kind of figured out whenever we went to go get pizza one time. Our friend was like, I'm beginning to think that word ratchet was just really some redneck Southern person's way of trying to say the word wretched, and they just failed miserably.
Now it can also mean epic. Ratchet can be a good thing.
Just like Hootie and the Blowfish.
Or you like, what's his name? Usher, you got it bad?
Fail.
I'm not a fan. You lost me there.
I was right there with you, Joey B. I love that song, and you actually got my ovaries all jumping up for joy when you start talking about it.
Amanda, are you an Usher fan?
I have every album. I have the albums even before he became famous.
You're secretly talking about Justin Bieber, right?
You got a problem with the Bieber fever, son? I don't need no medication. I'll die from the Bieber fever. I don't give two shits. I love that Canadian little sugar britches.
Well then, it's nice to see what your stance is on that. So circling back, Amanda, how would you say that as a guy we should avoid the bad apples?
And please don't say go to church. For the love
That
of
wasn't what
God,
I
please
was
don't
saying.
say that.
You need to look at where you're picking up women at. If you want to find a person who is intelligent and isn't, I guess, ratchet, then you need to not be trying to pick people up from a club who are trying to get drunk on Friday night. You don't have to go to church, but go somewhere else, you know?
You use barfly in a bad sense, you probably shouldn't be picking up people at a bar. If you wouldn't want somebody to try and pick you up somewhere, you probably shouldn't try to pick that
What
person
if I want to
up
be
there.
picked up anywhere?
Well, then do whatever you want.
Once you get out of college, your exposure to lots of people really diminishes, and you're really just stuck with the people that are in your workforce. And I'm all about not mixing your money with your honey, so that kind of narrows it down to not a lot of choices. I mean, fortunately for me, I'm married, but if I wasn't, I don't know where I would find a potential partner, because online dating just seems like it's extremely hit or miss. Either you end up being a skin jacket, or you really regret spending 3 hours with somebody.
It's about the same as dating anywhere else.
Well, at least if
Sure
it's
do
online
fall.
dating, you have some kind of buffer to figure out what they're about, and you're not some loud room with tons of music and sweaty bodies everywhere and expensive drinks.
I thought it was always find some place where you have common interest.
Yeah, but I mean, where are you going to meet somebody to actually converse? You can only say, hey girl, if you're Ryan Gosling.
Or an oiled up Matthew McConaughey.
Or that.
So that would actually have to involve a Lincoln, though.
The only oil that Nate sees is 30 weight or 40 weight, right?
Yeah, most of the time. And trust me, when it's burnt, it's stinks.
You gotta hang out at Cardo's, mate.
Well, he lives near the beach, so there's really no excuse, man, because there's all kinds of girls that go to the beach. I mean, you just gotta kind of troll along and see what you can find.
Trust me, most of it gets some. But you can't wash off the Clorox.
If I'm pouring Clorox on myself to kill whatever I got, I think I might need to question my life choices.
There you
Well,
go.
at least a previous life choice.
Stay away from beaches, and you won't have to question yourself.
Depends. What if you really like beaches?
Then you get a postcard and you draw little stick figures.
I don't think there's anywhere specifically to avoid. It's a matter of figuring out what you like and then finding the people that also like that.
If you're looking for the one-night stands, pay by the hour, then you want to go in party town.
If you're in college, all you really gotta do is just wait outside the bar for somebody to come staggering out.
Not really the best life choice, to be honest, but I guess you're right to an extent. I don't know, man. I'm kind of divided about that question, to be honest. There's just so much disparity as far as where and how, because today's culture is actually a challenge to actually talk to someone face to face without having some kind of Bluetooth or some shit in the way. I mean, people really don't even know really how to hold a conversation person to person that much today as opposed to 5-10 years ago, whether it be Bluetooth, text messaging, IMing, email, Facebook, whatever like that.
Yeah, there's some point where you have to actually disconnect from the electronics and do a face-to-face, because yeah, it's nice to have an online profile. Not everybody puts accurate information, but you have something to go off of. But I don't know if that's much better than just going in blind and introducing yourself. I mean, that's kind of just what I've done for the most part. Maybe I just have more success at that. I mean, I don't expect to really, if a girl were to say, don't talk to me or I'm not interested or whatever, then I'd be like, okay, cool, no big deal. For me, I think it always comes down to I end up finding girls that aren't interested, or they give the excuse, oh, well, I'm not really looking for anybody. But then, you know, like a week later they have a boyfriend or something. And what they really meant to say was, I'm not looking for somebody like you, which is fine. Just be honest. Like, I can take the abuse. I'd rather you be honest than just lie to my face. That's more insulting.
So, some people can't take that abuse, though.
I guess
I
it's a
understand
way of
the
trying to show
reaction to it.
mercy, probably.
I'm just going to start wearing a sandwich board that says, I enjoy abuse. Please be honest with me.
You get a very different group of people.
That will make them run.
You're going to get a lot of people that watch 50 Shades of Grey but never live the lifestyle.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to explain 50 Shades of Grey to my boss today because he was like, why is this movie so popular? I said, do you not know anything about the books or the movie or anything? He's like, no, not really.
Softcore porn.
Yeah, that's what I basically said. And
Or domestic abuse, depending on your view.
Get in the kitchen.
That's the main controversy over the book, is a lot of that stuff is... I haven't read it, so I can't say, but
You want to
the
know
main
what hurts?
controversy is...
That's what hurts.
Okay,
BDSM
but just
lifestyle
like,
involves a lot of communication, and there's not a lot of communication in that book. There's a lot of domestic abuse.
that's one of my main points, though. Communication, really. Today, it's very, I wouldn't say it's rare, but I'm going to say it's very unlikely, really, as far as going up to a complete stranger, having a conversation, and then not having this stranger who might be the opposite sex, so say if a man talking to a female doesn't even know her, and yet it would not be creeping her out in some way, probably. It's not the same game, I guess it was 10 years ago, even for our generation.
I think for me, the creepiest moment that I ever had where I was kind of a creep was there was a mutual friend that Michael introduced me to, and he gave me her MySpace profile ahead of time. And I pretty much memorized everything that was on there, so when we're talking, I'm immediately just mentioning things that she likes. And I think I went a bit overkill because I had no experience. Yeah, I think I definitely bombed that opportunity, but I learned, hey, you know what? Just because I have the information doesn't mean I have to divulge it every time. So it was a hard lesson to learn. I mean, fortunately for me, it didn't work out, but I think that maybe too much information is a bad thing, to the point that everything they say you have something to tack on. I think that can be kind of a turn-off. It doesn't leave any room for conversation, really, because they're like, well, what am I going to say? Because he's predictable. But I feel like we have to work a lot harder, though. Amanda, do you think that guys have to work really hard to pursue girls, or do you think that it's just some kind of game that we play?
I think sometimes guys work themselves up to, and they try too hard. Sometimes guys make it out to be a lot harder than it actually is.
Well, here's the thing that I was kind of getting at. So if I'm the guy, I have to approach you and somehow get your attention and then hold it long enough so that you'll be interested to have a conversation. And then after that, hopefully, I can ask you out on a date, and then you'll accept. And then let's say that you accept. Well, what do we do? What's a typical thing people do? They go to dinner, and then they go to a movie, or they do something else. And I don't know if it's an expected thing, but oftentimes the guy will pay. And then, the end of the night rolls around, and you're deliberating between just dropping her off or trying to get an end-of-the-night kiss or whatever. And for me, I never really try to go for the kiss thing. I'm cool with just like, hey, it was a fun time. I'll call you tomorrow or whatever. And then I'm actually a person that does return the calls or, makes contact after the date. But at that point, you're still at the mercy of the girl, because if she didn't have a good time, then she's not going to contact you back. And even if she did, maybe she doesn't want to go out on another date again. And then hopefully you don't have to keep repeating the process before something happens. But I feel like sometimes there's an awful lot of effort that the guy has to put in, and the girl just basically gets a free meal and a free evening, and the guy doesn't really get anything in return.
You get something in return. You rule somebody out.
Oh, because that's helpful. I had to pay $100 to rule somebody out. I guess that's better than paying like $1,000, but still.
You got 3 billion people of the opposite sex in the world. You got to rule some of them out.
Well, right. But the thing is, why is the girl not doing anything? If we go to dinner, why do I have to pay? Why can't she just step up and say, hey, you want to go Dutch? Or, at least offer to maybe pick up the tab. I'm not saying that she has to, and I get that it's kind of a courtesy thing for the guy to pay, but it just seems really one-sided that we're always stuck having to act. And then when it comes to getting married, we have to pop the question.
I would disagree with both. I want to qualify it a little bit. When you asked her out, you could have established right then who was paying. If you were expecting you were going to pay and wanted to pick up that thing, be like, hey, let's go out on Thursday, I'll pay. Or you could say,
I want to
let's go on
clarify one
Thursday,
thing
let's go
real
Dutch.
quick
Or do you
before I
mind going
forget this
Dutch?
or whatnot, though.
If it's important to you to go Dutch and she thinks it's a bad thing, it's ruled out before either of you
cutting
waste
it
any
out.
time.
There is a appropriate time to contact, someone you just went out on a date with. And apparently you had to have a waiting period of at least 2 days until you sent them like a text or an instant message or something like that.
That's what the movie said.
I don't think it was the movie. I think this is actually just me in actual college or whatnot, but still.
There's several movies that have that as a plot point. And then
Don't believe what Jason says. Just keep talking.
Just say that it's not. There's no such thing. If you want to contact the person early, contact the person early. They think it's creepy that it wasn't work.
I'm saying, though, that by talking to them too early, too fast, or whatnot, though, that you're creeping them out because they're not actually having any space or any downtime. That because you come off as being needy, or that kind of thing.
Okay, if somebody waited a day or 2 days to send me a message, I would assume that they didn't care. Like, to me, that would be kind of offensive. But I guess some people might take that as being needy.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Amanda, because, the longest relationships I've had, were from the first date, and literally, like, later that night, I still text them, good night, had a great night, sleep tight or whatever, and then every time they text me back the next day or, it's just – I think that it shows that you showed interest. You know what I mean? Because if I wait that long, for all I know, the same way you think, I'm like, okay, well, You know, he wasn't interested. I'm going to go on this other date that these my friends are setting me up on, you know? So it's kind of like you snooze, you lose, you know?
I think they just made my point.
I'm a person where if I want something, I just go for it, and if it doesn't work out, then I just move on. But I would rather contact the person after the date than to wait too long, because if I really had an awesome time and I thought that they were a really good fit, then I wouldn't be creepy about it, but I would say, hey, would you like to go out on another date, or would you like to do something later this week? I wouldn't be like the next day, let's hang out today. I would say, you know, would you be interested in doing something? Let's say you went out on Saturday. Would you want to go out Wednesday night after work? Something like that, you know, so you're kind of extending the invitation and showing interest, but you're not immediately saying, I need to be with you instantly because I'm a creeper, or whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean?
I think it's a matter of contact them when you would want to be contacted. If it's a good fit, it's a good fit.
I want to be contacted immediately. Maybe I'm just really weird and unconventional, but I believe that if I'm as transparent as possible and open, that's far better than just not being proactive. Because women like guys who are confident, know what they want, not they're like, well, I'm not sure. I don't know. I have to think about it. Do you agree or disagree, Amanda?
People like confident people.
Yeah, I agree with that. But something that you didn't touch on earlier, you were saying that you thought that girls should offer to pay. I've always done it like if a guy pays for dinner one time, then the next time I'll pay for it. I like to kind of split things in half. But you have to be careful with that because some guys think that it's emasculating. And it goes the same way with proposing. A lot of guys don't want that because they think that it is emasculating. So
attempt to fish that out and be sensitive to it. They always just be explicit about it, and then you don't have to worry. You have like a couple of seconds of awkward conversation, and then no long-term worries.
I mean, I think it's okay once you've been dating for a while. I think that it's cool to split a tab or take turns. But the way I was brought up is, especially being raised in South Georgia and of course Alabama, as you know, Joey, that the way I see it and the way I was taught was that you do the first month period. I mean, like I actually feel offended if a girl offers to pay. I'm like, no, I've got it because I'm supposed to open the doors for her. It's the same thing with her. You know how it is. You when you pull up to her house to pick her up for a date, you don't honk the damn horn like a redneck. You park it, you get out, you walk up, knock on the door. You know what I'm saying? Escort her, open, close doors, and you pay. You pick up the tab always. But I mean, I guess some people do it differently. I've never had a girl pay for anything.
I kind of follow suit with that, but I don't know. With my wife, it was different because she would pay for one event, I would pay for another event. So when we were dating, I only saw her once a month. So I would send her gas money, and she would come down, and then if we went somewhere, I'd probably pay depending on the date. But I mean, there was times where she paid too, but we traded off in some way, shape, or form so that it was kind of equal and balanced out. But I think it's good, once you're actually continuously dating, to trade it off, because one person shouldn't always be footing the bill. That's just not fair. If both people are going to be contributing to something, then they both need to play a part. So, let's say
I think that does depend on relative incomes, though.
Well, I mean, okay, I guess you could. Let's not even worry about that. Let's say that both people make enough money that they could comfortably go out and have a fun time. If I take a girl out to the movies or whatever, I'll pay. Then the next time we go out, she would pay. You would just have to obviously have a discussion about how you felt about it. But I think if you trade it off, it kind of shows a little bit of initiative that you're not taking each other for granted and you don't have any expectation that you're willing to kind of meet in the middle to have a good time. Or if there's something that you want to do, you split the cost.
My thought on that is essentially just figure out what you would be comfortable doing, and then have the conversation. That's generally what I've done. And girls I've dated all had different moves. Some girls wanted the guy to pay for everything. That was what they were used to. Some wanted to split everything. Some wanted to swap out. And I've dated girls that wanted to pay for everything themselves.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with any of them. I don't really care. I figure in the end, like if it happens to work out, right, long term, then you're going to have lots of conversations about money anyway, so you might as well just get them out of the way at the beginning.
Yeah.
True, but I think the most successful relationships, though, are those that also have give and take on both sides, though. Instead of it being, one or the other, per se.
Yeah. I don't think that.
And that's what you're saying, Joey. I was just reinforcing my own point on that, though. That's all.
Yeah. I think you stated it very well.
Jason gives you a gold star.
Yeah. Gold star, sir. Good gold star.
He destroys everything else that you say, but he gives you a gold star this one time.
I mean, really, a relationship really is almost like a marriage. The only difference, the fact is, nothing's guaranteed or set in stone. But either way, if you want
There's
one
no
or the other
marriage
to be
either.
successful, there has to be give and take on both sides. There has to be an allowance for compromise as well. If there's not, then it's doomed to fail.
The only difference between a marriage and any other relationship is the expectation of duration.
Are we talking about a legal standpoint?
Ignoring legality.
Oh,
There's
okay.
paperwork involved, but ignoring legality. The difference between marriage and non-marriage is
I understand your
expected
viewpoint,
duration.
but I also said as well in my statement, though, that with the exception of being set in stone and such, that also goes with durability as well. But as far as a relationship or a marriage, you'd have to agree that there would have to be compromise or give and take in both to even have any chance of success, or at least having a happy marriage, or at least a successful marriage for that part for both sides.
So that's our show. Hopefully you found us entertaining. If not, send us an email and let us know. Go to www.roundtablephilosophy.com/contact. Fill out the form and give us your feedback. If you'd like, you can follow us on our Facebook page. Go to facebook.com/roundtablephilosophy. You can follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/RTPhilosophy. Other than that, just check out our site on a weekly basis for new and entertaining podcasts. Thanks so much.